Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be all about the divine, beautiful world of cut and silhouette, a topic that's usually treated as a secret trick to looking more flattering or skinny, but I honestly think it is way more interesting than that. Silhouette is one of the most expressive tools in fashion, and it can say so much about who you are and how you want to move through the world and how you feel. So let's throw out the idea that clothes have to hide or fix anything. We're going to explore silhouette as art, identity, and mood. The cut of a garment is basically how it's shaped when it's sewn. It's the pattern, the seams, the darts, the way fabric is manipulated. And when you step back and look at the overall shape that the garment creates around the body, that is the silhouette. It can be sleek and column-like, it can be oversized and cocooned, it can be cinched, curved, boxy, dramatic, soft. It's the big shape people see before they even notice the details. Think of it like a sculpture. You're not just dressing a body, you're building shape around it. Every silhouette carries a feeling with it. A sharp shoulder or structured blazer feels like a strong, maybe a little powerful silhouette. A draped dress on the bias might feel sensual or soft. An oversized shirt could feel casual, artistic, and maybe even a bit subversive. A dramatic puff sleeve, like the one I'm wearing right now, is romantic, playful, and a little bit daring. This is where it gets fun. You're not asking, does this make me look slim? You're asking, what story am I telling today? What shape am I in the mood to be? Let's go through a few classic silhouettes, not to box anyone in, but to give you a visual vocabulary. A-line. Fitted at the top, flares out like a triangle, balanced, classic, and grounded. Hourglass. Emphasized waist with volumes at the hips and chest, very vintage, very feminine and glam. Column. Straight lines from shoulder to ankle, clean, architectural, elongating without trying too hard. Oversized or boxy, minimal or exaggerated volume, feels cool, contemporary, and genderless. Cocoon, rounded shapes that wrap or taper inward, very structural, very futuristic. Empire line or dropped waist, these play with proportion. Empire cuts elongate the legs, dropped waist emphasize the torso. Unexpected and often a bit dreamy. You can wear any of these no matter what your body shape is. It's about intention, not just the rules. One thing people forget is that silhouette isn't static, it moves. A silky bias cut dress will cling and ripple. A boxy jacket might hold its shape, but it's gonna shift as you walk, right? A full skirt might float, bounce, or even feel like a performance. When you're choosing a cut, think about how it feels in motion as well. Clothes aren't just for standing still, they live with you. And now let's talk about the word flattering. A lot of fashion advice is built on this idea that we need to trick the eye, make this look smaller, hide that, balance something else, and that's been so historically. Even there are even some really cool example of this from previous eras, and that I can appreciate. It's almost an art. But sometimes, even though I do care about balance and choosing the most flattering pieces possible, sometimes I just want to express myself, and that's okay. I want to offer this new idea of thinking in terms of, do I feel bold or quiet today? Do I want structure or softness? Do I want to feel like a sculpture, a breeze, a pillar, a cloud? think a bit more abstract, and you can have a lot of fun with this idea. Now, silhouettes don't just reflect personal taste, they reflect culture, technology, and even politics. Let's look at how silhouette has changed over time. Traditional silhouettes, like across cultures, kimonos, kaftans, saris, don't always follow Western ideals of tailoring, but they still carry strong aesthetic identity. In ancient Greece and Rome, garments weren't cut and shaped like modern clothes. They were large rectangles of fabric pinned and tied around the body in the most flattering ways possible. These silhouettes followed the natural body, emphasizing movement and grace more than reshaping the body. It was fluid, often column-like, and used fabric weight and pleating rather than tailoring. In Egypt, clothing was tighter and more body-hugging. Linen sheaths and wrapped garments that still left the body's shape visible. You can see my video on Queen Nefertiti in my monthly Fashion Icons of History series, and you can really get some inspiration around Egyptian fashion. These eras focus on fabric behavior over structure and tailoring, and they didn't even have tailoring back then really in the way we mean it today. This silhouette was again often a column or a triangle shaped by the human body and gravity. The Middle Ages, though, introduced layering and early tailoring, but silhouette was still modest and relatively unshaped. Women's dresses were long and loose-fitting and often belted at the waist. Men wore tunics and hose. Some upper-class garments introduced fitted bodices and flared skirts, especially in the Gothic era. Wimples, veils, and hoods contributed to the verticality and elongation, especially in court fashion. Clothes began to hint at the body's structure, but didn't sculpt it yet. The transition into the Renaissance introduced structured tailoring, decorative sleeves, and early corsetry. It's fascinating. In Burgundy and France, the Burgundian gown introduced the idea of the V-shaped torso, which would be developed further in the Tudor era. I'll say it clearly, I've always said it. I think Elizabeth I was the queen of silhouettes. She might be the first fashion icon to use shape and volume in clothing as a way to project authority, divinity, and identity. Her silhouette was geometric, exaggerated, and sculpted. It's so fun to analyze her clothes. Her sleeves ballooned out at the arms and sometimes padded or slashed, creating mass and presence. The ruff, that dramatic starched halo around the neck, framed the face and stiffened the neckline, elevating her above everyone else, literally and symbolically. Add to that the high collars, stiff bodices, and jeweled embroidery, and her body became more sculpture than woman, controlled, intentional, divine. This wasn't fashion as decoration, it was fashion as power. Her silhouette said, "I am untouchable, I am sovereign." This is one of the first times we see fashion used deliberately to reshape the body into an idealized symbolic form. And that idea gets carried forward all the way into the modern fashion. Let's talk about the 18th century, the 1700s. The robe à la française with panniers, massive horizontal width at the hips, status and spectacle. Corset and stays created extreme posture and shaping. In the 19th century, the 1800s, Empire line dresses, thanks to Napoleon, became popular. The soft Greco-Roman inspired styles were widely appreciated. In the mid-1800s, crinolines and bustles were a big deal. Large volumes again, but with new materials, steel hoops, lighter, more innovative skirts, let's say. And in the late 1800s, the Gibson girl brought hourglass, tiny waist. In the 1920s, there was a revolutionary shift. The flapper dress, straight, boyish silhouette, no waist emphasis. In the 1940s, the World War II brought practical tailoring back, padded shoulders, nipped waists. Think utility, because women started working in factories, etc. They needed more practical clothes. And post-war, Dior's new look in 1947 brought back the cinched waist and full skirt, dramatic hourglass silhouette. It was sort of a celebration and a return to less practical, more glamorous styles. In the 1960s, the 70s, there was the youthquake era, miniskirts, A-line dresses, mod looks, hippie fashion, fluid, loose, fitting silhouettes. In the 1980s, power dressing. Women started entering the workforce again, strong shoulders, boxy jackets, defined waists. In the 1990s, 2000s, minimalist silhouettes came around. Calvin Klein, Helmut Lang, slip dresses, straight lines, think Kate Moss in the 90s. I already made a video about that too, by the way. In the 2000s, there was a rise of the low rise, and body conscious shapes. They returned to tight. In the 2010s, now volume, deconstruction, and generalist silhouettes are in conversation now more than ever. Now, for the practical part, how do we work with silhouettes in our wardrobe? Start with one dramatic piece, like a voluminous skirt or structured jacket, and let it be the focal point. Balance or amplify. So you don't have to balance volume, but it helps to be intentional. If you over-exaggerate everything, nothing is exaggerated anymore. If you want to feel statuesque, try volume on top and bottom. Want ease, try volume on one side. Think of silhouette as communication. Think, do I feel grounded, soft? Do I want to feel protected or powerful? Photographing yourself can be a great way to understand how it really looks, because sometimes we look at ourselves in the mirror and we think something doesn't work. This happens to me all the time, and filming myself on YouTube or taking pictures has helped improve my style, because I can see that something actually does work. We don't always see ourselves in the mirror the same way we see ourselves in photos and videos. So that's cut and silhouette, one of the most powerful tools in fashion. I hope you found this video inspiring, and I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, remember to give it a like, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel and click the bell button. See you next video. Bye!